Hey everybody, this is Brad Dyke reaching out to you and touching base with you. Yes, sometimes the best IT piece of equipment is a simple piece of paper and a pen. Being able to make notes that which you have when you're doing things. And the reason why I bring that up is because as my 33 years of experience in operations and environments for IT range the full scope of the gambit of the government to the federal to the open commercial COTS, GOTS environments, ranging from doing it from nothing to building a data center to doing the operations environments, doing environment sets. Why is DevOps important today? Because it's a better way than the way we used to do it in operations. But it's not a replacement for operations. It's just a mindset. And that's what this is about. What do I mean? Well, back in the day, in the 90s, we used to have this thing called CapEx. That was basically we would do a large scale procurement strategy. We would deploy something, we would bring it into use, and it was operational. This coincided with the days of mainframes and big projects and millions of dollars here and so on. Then, over time, slowly, in the 20 some odd years, it moved to an OpEx, where your operational expenses in your environments were relational to your workloads, but you still did purchases up front to get your resources for the future. But today, with operations getting the new discipline of utilizing dev operations strategies instead of traditional operation strategies, you can do something different. Now, I'm also have been an architect 4 times on 4 separate implement occasions, and one of them was the Hyper-V hypercloud environment architect role that I worked with NetApp. There were 17 of us in the world. Alan Kravitz was my boss. He's awesome. There's not many people like him in this world, and we brought it all together to formulate it into a strategy called the Hyper multi-cloud environment. That means you've got local resources, or you've got resources in the middle and in the back and on the front. They may be partially cloud, they may not, but nobody's ever the same, and no DevOps is ever the same. So that leads us to, what do you do when you want to try to get an understanding of changing your operations using the stratagems of DevOps? I can help you with that. The 3 most important components is know what you have, know what needs to be updated, and know how it's done today. Why? Because if you don't know what you have and you don't know how they can do it, you don't have the bridge between the old way and the new way. That's important. Now, I've already done a video on the processes of the first 2. Understand what you've got, know what your applications are. But what I didn't cover, which I'll cover now, is the people. You have an operations environment of usually a minimum of 2 for co-OA support, which is also account management, and you have 2 operations leads. Usually it's 4, 2 on the OS level and 2 in the infrastructure level. And that's fully redundant. There's no single point of failure. So you have a 4-man team or a 6-man team. That team is the one that has to integrate with the 2 new bodies that will join your group, which will be your DevOps deployers. They are the ones that will run the integration processes from the operations OA environment all the way to the application level. Then you have a complete picture. But that 6 or 8-man team needs the bridge. The bridge is based on reaching out to each of the departments involved, or, more strategy-wise, reach to 1 or 2 at a time and bring them over the fence 1 at a time, side by side. This is how they do it on this side. It's convoluted. It's many, many, many steps. And over here is DevOps. A lot fewer steps, right? You create the bridge. Let them ride them side by side to see the benefit and the value. Now you can show return to the people who do the work, opposed to the people up above who want the work. That's important. You see, the process of communication and understanding that it's not the highway or operations way. It's different. If you do it correctly, right? You're taking their single process they do today, which is their current way. And remember, old dogs don't like new tricks. And you bring to their table something that can actually add to what they do and be flexible and malleable and shapeable to give them new pathways, to get cleaner organized, so less mistakes along the way, lessening their steps in the equation. You have to win them over. And it's not an easy process, especially when you don't know the application yet. And I have to play a couple of different hats as an operations director and as a DevOps director, and working the operations side of things and standardizing security and doing all these components that are very, very critical just to get DevOps to work correctly. So build on your building blocks. The foundation first, that's operations, is sustainment and repeatable processes. Then your DevOps processes, that would be your GitHub, that would be your Terraform or your Ansible environment, and all of the subsequent tools that would be built in there, such as Jenkins and so on. And then the next tool, and then the next component till you have a complete structure. And now this structure is just now nothing more than a simple box, right? Is ready to talk to the first application to bring it in. Now, last component to this discussion is very simple. If you are doing something and it's important, you may not be able to use your tools to do all of it. Let's dispel this little misunderstanding. DevOps is not the buzzword that we should be using here. It isn't a fix everything word. Be careful. It's important to understand you have costs, you have operational hour workloads, you have overhead. It will address many things, but it cannot address everything, because sometimes management can take things out of context, probably because they may not have the full sense of the scope of the nature of DevOps, and that's perfectly okay to understand. It would be your responsibility to help them understand the reality of what they can and cannot do. This is no different than the words used in the past, such as, oh, cloud, we'll go to the cloud. It's an easy fix, it's cheap. No. Or, hey, I've heard this word, instead of work group strategies, let's do enterprise. No. Oh, let's do Hyper-V, it will fix all of our hardware requirements. No. Be realistic. There are always people out there looking for an easy single point of answering things. And then there's the rest of us who understand the nature of what it means to work from step 1 to step 148 and then repeat it 10 more times, right? That's DevOps in a nutshell. The good news is, hopefully out of those 148 steps, you're only doing 12 or maybe 20. And nobody's doing any of the other work. That's money saved, because now your coders can get right back to the product and make it even more awesome than it was. So with that being said, this is my last logical video I'll be doing this week in relationship to operations and DevOps. And I'm then going to talk about some really cool things coming out about hardware. So I will let you go. Have a blessed weekend, and God bless. Bye-bye.